powerful interview segment this week. I'll be speaking with the Honorable Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa. It tells me why it's of utmost importance for industrial harmony to remain in the education sector, while also speaking about the President's intention towards enhancing education in Nigeria. It's good to have you on the program. Finally, I get to sit with you after trying to reach you for several weeks. And congratulations on signing an MOU between the federal government and ASUU after more than 19 years of failed negotiation.
19 years, it was 2009. The federal government, the stalemate in the agreement between the federal government and ASUU. But it's about leadership. When you have a president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu believes so much in education as a bedrock of our society. In our quest, in the president's quest for us to build a modern, productive and prosperous society, education has to be front and center. And that's why where we are today, the signing of this agreement, the breaking of this 19-year-old genes can only be attributed to the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that took charge, gave all the support and the highest level of political will to us as the Federal Ministry of Education as we negotiated with ASUU. And what we told ASUU initially, when we started this, that we would negotiate with you with respect, in true faith, and with all transparency. We would do what the government can afford, not come up with a bogus agreement. Because we have a president, and the person of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that believes in fulfilling every single promise he makes to Nigerian people, to any corporate entity in the country. You've seen when the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was campaigning, the then aspirant, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we had one of the longest strikes, about 8 months in our university history. President sent people, his chosen negotiators, to meet with ASUU and tell them, I will pay you your salaries and I will take care of whatever issues you've been fighting for. They agreed that they will pay 50% of those salaries. Within 6 months of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu being sworn in, he paid 5 months of the salary, even met more than the 50% he had agreed with them. And he now went a step further because he made the commitment to them that I would solve your problems. So the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, moved expeditiously to direct us to begin negotiation with ASUU.
It's the first time a sitting president will take ownership of a negotiation. I know that you've said so much about the president fulfilling its campaign promises. Beyond fulfilling campaign promises, what's the drive? Well,
the drive is very simple. We need to keep our children in school. Enough of all strike. And what we're doing as a government is to put sustainability in everything we do. We went to this a negotiation with ASUU to address every single issue they've had in the last, from the 2009 agreement. Now let me talk about this ASUU agreement. Before we got to this signing of the finalization of the agreement, they had the 2009 agreement, and then the Professor Mimi Briggs agreement of 2017, Professor Monzali. The 2009 agreement was signed between the government, federal government and ASUU. The 2017 agreement wasn't signed. We wrote everything together into the 2025 agreement. And even before we signed the agreement, all the low-hanging issues that ASUU had, we continue to take care of those issues. About the end academic allowances, that was resolved. About migration back from IPs to a payment platform where their personnel costs will be paid, that was resolved. About moving their research grant and endowment fund, University Tertiary Institution Research Grant and Endowment Fund from TSA into their commercial bank of their choice, of their own picking, that was taken care of. And also the promised needs assessment. And let me tell you about the needs assessment. ASUU negotiated with the government about 20 years as well that they need significant infrastructure a fund infusion into the universities. Government promised them 1 trillion. That almost 2 decades ago, it wasn't funded. I think after they went on another strike about 8 years ago, the government of President Jonathan gave some money, 200 billion, or I can't remember exactly, and it was as part of that the agreement. Since then, nothing happened. President promised them that I will give you 200 billion. So far, the president has released 100 billion. In fact, we just got another tranche of, in fact, we got another, the second tranche of the 50 billion has been sitting in the needs assembly account for almost 3 months now. We're waiting for the universities and the other tertiary institutions to finalize the deployment of those funds. And Mr. President has also directed the chairman of FRS and the accountant general, as well as Minister of Finance, to give us those the last 2 tranches of 100 billion. And the plan was, in fact, we should have gotten the last 2 tranches, but the delay came from us. I'm not at the Ministry of Education in finalization of the way those funds will be spent.
I can see that the federal government is keen on effective collaborations. Can you bring us up to speed on some of the collaborations that the ministry has been able to, take up towards enhancing the education sector?
What exact collaboration? There are many collaborations, yes.
But let's discuss about the most recent one, which would be the signing of MOU between University of Lagos and the University of Birmingham, and maybe the CBN sign-off to the University Vice Chancellor.
Okay, that is part of this is part of our agenda, our government agenda, to bring world-class education to our citizens in this country as well. You've seen we just signed the memorandum of understanding between University of Birmingham, a Roster 24 university, one of the top 100 universities in the world, with University of Lagos. And what this memorandum of understanding aims to accomplish is for us to leapfrog into our transnational education, a collaboration and partnership between University of Birmingham and University of Lagos, where they will run their courses here in University of Lagos, where Nigerian students will be able to now get their degrees here, undergrad and postgraduate degrees here, and they will not have to go to the United Kingdom for those degrees. And there are several areas there. Also at the postgraduate levels, we've looked at the area of needs. We're talking about masters and PhDs in the area of data science, AI, robotics, international business, and also a master program in global surgical training. So areas of where we have core needs in the country, where we now can help build our own faculty to give them world-class international level education, so that when they go to those classrooms and lecture auditoriums, and when they supervise their students' thesis, research work, they will also incorporate this high level of education into those students. And as such, we will be breeding new set of generational leaders, student leaders that are now well educated. And also this partnership will also help us in the area of research, where we can get faculty members to engage, to collaborate with international researchers, international universities, and do more research, and also in areas of innovation. And as we do this, we're building capacity in our tertiary institutions. And the University of the agreement, this transnational education between University of Birmingham and University of Lagos is just the beginning. We're going to get many more international world-class universities to come to Nigeria. If I was talking to one of the private universities yesterday, they also are talking with another top university in the UK that will be coming. I can't disclose the name, but in the next few months, the country will be hearing about it. This is now global, bringing global best practices into our education system. And that's what we're doing. The significant transformation is what's happened in the entire education sector, from foundational level, secondary level, and universities.
Funding of education remains a global conversation, and there's been this conversation as regards what should be allocated to education across different countries, or what should be the benchmark Can you tell us, is there a need for stronger legislation to enhance funding of education, not just in Nigeria, but across the world?
It's not about a global benchmark or percentage of education. It's about the quantum of money that has been infused into education. Somebody was telling me yesterday, Nigeria is actually one of the models they're looking in Africa now. In the last 2 years, the amount of money we've invested, we've budgeted for education is enormous. So it's a percentage is relative. Look at the absolute amount of money going to education. For the first time in the history of our country, in the last 2 budgetary allocations, the education sector has gotten the highest budgetary allocation in the last 2 successive years, courtesy of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And this is just not budgetary allocation. We're getting the money. We have more money. We've gotten more money in TED Fund. And in the 2024 TED Fund spending cycle, we instructed all the beneficiary institutions to do 5 things with their direct intervention fund: to rehabilitate student classrooms, auditoriums, engineering workshops, faculty offices, and invest in instructional materials. That's what they've done in the last 2024. We're going to follow suit with that again in 2025 spending cycle. We're going to follow suit in that as well to continue this extensive rehabilitation of student hostels as well as faculty offices, lecture theaters, and engineering workshops. About 200 billion of TED Fund funding went to rehabilitating 18 medical schools across the 6 geopolitical zones to help them double capacity in the number of doctors they can admit, dentists, pharmacists, and quadruple capacity in the number of nursing students. All those before you go there, all this rehabilitation is going on, and we're following suit in this 2026. We'll be investing 100 billion of TED Fund money to improve our engineering workshop in the Federal University of Technologies and some chosen conventional universities faculty of engineering. And this fund, this 100 billion, will be spent to improve and rehab engineering and technology workshops in these universities, buy modern engineering and technology equipment, or build new engineering and technology workshops in these chosen universities.
Now that the federal government has been able to sign an agreement that takes care of the teaching staff and maybe some part of the non-teaching staff, can you tell us what would be your expectations from ASUU members and maybe some other workers within the university system?
The way we're negotiating with all unions, academic and non-academic unions, we've rolled up that negotiation into one committee, the Alhaji Yahya Ahmed committee, that has negotiated successfully with ASUU. Alhaji Yahya Ahmed and his committee they have ongoing negotiation as I speak to you now with the Polytechnic, academic union and non-academic union. The same thing with the colleges of education, academic and non-academic union. Because you look at it, a lot of their needs, a lot of their pressing issues, about 80% of them, it's almost the same, and but each of them have their own, at about 20% they have their peculiar issues. And that's why we have to do these negotiations in targeted manner. I can't tell you that, what we offer ASUU is what we're going to offer everybody. Their needs are different. So it has to be boutique style arrangement that will give each of these unions. But what I can promise you, that we will resolve their grievances, we will resolve their needs in a way that they are happy and in a way that it doesn't become burdensome on the government to implement.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much.
And that's all we can take on today's edition of the program. Join us next week for a fresh edition of the show. I am Sharon Ijason. Thanks for watching, and remember that labor creates wealth.